Welcome to our exploration of one of the India's most fundamental legal frameworks, the Indian Contract Act 1872. Today, we will journey through the foundation of this particular commercial law that governs every business transaction, every agreement, as well as the countless daily transactions in India. Whether you are buying a groceries or buying it online or signing a business partnership or as simple as signing a job contract or entering into a business partnership. This 150-year-old shapes your uh, rights and obligations. So imagine in 1872, this was a pre-independence era where the British Raj was there. So British Raj was consolidating their legal system. So having said that, there was an urgent need for them to uniform the commercial laws. So on 25th April 1872, uh, the Indian Contract Act was born and coming into force on 1st September 1872. So the Indian Contract Act was born at that point of time. So this wasn't just another colonial imposition by the British Raj. It was actually a carefully crafted legal framework which designed to bring order to the chaotic world of commercial transactions. So why 1872? Because in the British Raj, business is happening, buying, selling, lending, borrowing, but it's like the Wild West. So because there were so many rules like Hindu law, Muslim law, local customs, there was a total confusion. So imagine trying to sell the rice in Madras, but the rules were completely different considering the Bombay. So there was very much chaos and confusion. So the businesses need certainty, isn't it? So businesses needed certainty. They needed to know, if I promise something, can the other guy make it, or he will just run away with my rupees. So the British entered with a thinking that let's clean up this mess, and they basically took the English contract law and gave it a spicy Indian twist, and this Indian Contract Act 1872 was born. Now, why should you, as a professional course student, learn this particular law? Because accounting is the language of business, and businesses runs on contract. So every sale, every purchase, every loan, you will have to record, right? So those in those fancy ledgers. So it all starts with a promise someone can enforce. That's the magic this act defines. So let us dive into this Indian Contract Act 1872. So basically, this Indian Contract Act 1872 is a legal framework that governs the contracts in India. So basically, it defines and enforces the agreements and their obligations between the parties. Basically, this Indian Contract Act deals with the general principles of the rights and duties of the contracting parties, and it also sets out the essentials of the valid contract and covering offer, acceptance, consideration, competency, and free consent. Apart from these, they also set out the obligations of the parties, including the conditions, warranties, and discharge of the contracts. So basically, this particular act was enacted in 25th April 1872, whereas it came into force on 1st September 1872. So this law is more applicable from 1st September 1872. So basically, whatever the rules regarding this validity, offer, acceptance, consent, conditions, warranties, or whenever there is a breach of contract, the remedies, all these were applicable from 1st September 1872. So in the remedies as well as damages also have been included in the contract act. In total, there are total 266 sections, wherein section 1 to 75 covers the general principles of contract. Section 76 to Section 123 has been repealed and has been specifically covered under Sale of Goods Act. So the section 76 to 123 has been removed as of now. And from section 124 to 238 covers special provisions relating to the indemnity guarantee agency. And whereas from after 238 up to 266, again the sections has been repealed. So uh, Indian Contract Act covers from section 1 to 75. From 76 to 123 has been repealed, and again 124 to 238 covers special provisions, and up to later on up to 266 sections they have been repealed. So overall, the Indian Contract Act provides the comprehensive legal framework for the formation and enforcement of the contracts in India. So let us understand why the Indian contract is necessary. So it provides the legal framework for the formation and enforcement of contracts in India. Students, let us take an example of vegetable supplier who agrees to supply 1000 kgs to a retailer by June 30th. Suppose if the supplier fails to deliver, so the retailer has no legal course, isn't it? So supposedly if there is an act, if there was no act, there was no legal course to the retailer. However, when there is an Indian Contract Act which wherein there is a written contract which specifies the delivery timelines, penalties for delays, then in such case retailers can sue for the damages. So basically this act enforces the promises by defining the valid contracts, performance rules, and remedies. So Indian Contract Act is very much necessary in the context of enforcing these obligations. And second one encourages the commerce. See, supposedly if there is no contract act, an investor will be definitely hesitating to fund to a startup because of the fear of that founders may misuse the funds, isn't it? So when there is a contract act, so this which creates a legal binding contract which mandates the fund usage restrictions or fund usage milestones. If founders deviate from such milestones, then investor can terminate the agreement or he may claim damages, isn't it? So if there is no act, then definitely there is a room for misusing funds. But when there is a contract act which provides the predictable contract rules, isn't it? So the predictable contract rules build the investors confidence, which enables the business growth in turn. And the third reason why this Indian contract is necessary, supposedly if there is no act, just imagine when a lender forces a borrower to sign a contract with 50% interest and confiscate his property for a 1 day delay. So it is unfair, right? So when there is an act, contract act, this provides various provisions such as free consent, and when the borrower voluntarily agrees to the terms, so there is a free consent, and when the lender verifies the borrower whether he is a literate and whether he is able to understand the terms, then he is a competent person. So also there is a perspective of lawful object also. So when there is a excessive interest, which will be considered as void as per the contract act, because it is not a lawful. So basically this Indian Contract Act prevents the exploitation by invalidating the unfair terms and protecting the vulnerable parties, isn't it? So it reduces the exploitation by the contracting parties. And another important the purpose or the relevance of Indian Contract Act is it enhances the legal literacy, isn't it? So, for example, if there is no Indian contract, and just imagine that when a buyer purchases a smartphone through online, but he receives a defective product and seller is ignoring the complaints, so there will be again a problem, right? So just imagine if there is no act, but however, because of this contract act now, when the buyer knows the terms of service from a binding contract, the buyer can demand a replacement of the product or the refund, isn't it, under the consumer protection laws. So the key clarity for this enhancing the legal literacy is that basically the act educates the citizens about the remedies as well as empowering them to assert their rights. So let us summarize that. So legal framework enforces damages for breach, whereas encourages commerce by binding the parties to milestone and enables the remedies in case of breach, and whereas protecting the parties by nullifying or making the unfair clauses void and mandates the free consent, whereas from the legal literacy point of view, it plays a very important role by promoting the awareness and by making understanding the contractual rights and obligations.
I hope you all have understood the basics of Indian Contract Act. In our upcoming videos, we will be discussing about the essential elements of valid contract and other provisions of law relating to the Indian Contract Act. Thank you.